There's something profoundly magnetic about a man who doesn't need to be noticed to be remembered. You see, most men chase attention. They seek validation through admiration, hoping that if they say the right words, wear the right clothes, or project the right image, women will finally see their worth. But here's the irony. The more you chase validation, the more invisible you become. True attraction isn't built on appearance alone. It's built on psychological depth. Women don't fall for the loudest man in the room. They fall for the one who feels grounded, whose presence commands attention without demanding it. Because women don't crave perfection. They crave stability, certainty, and direction. When you understand this, you stop trying to impress and start to embody. You stop performing and start living with intention. You begin to realize that your silence, your pauses, your eye contact, they all speak louder than your words ever could. What makes a man unforgettable is not what he says, but what he represents. He becomes a symbol of emotional safety, purpose, and quiet power. A man who knows who he is, who has wrestled with his own chaos and learned to master it, carries an energy that women notice instinctively. Women sense when a man has direction. They feel when he's anchored to something higher than pleasure or approval. That kind of man doesn't need to chase. He attracts. He doesn't need to convince. He influences. Becoming unforgettable begins when you stop seeking external recognition and start cultivating internal order. It's when you take responsibility for your actions, your thoughts, and your emotions. When your words align with your values. When your integrity becomes your brand. And it's not about dominance. It's about depth. Because true power doesn't shout, it resonates. It doesn't intimidate, it inspires. When you live with purpose, you awaken something in others. A sense of trust, of admiration, of quiet curiosity. That's what women remember. That's what they crave. Not just your confidence, but your consistency. Not your perfection, but your presence. So, if you want to be unforgettable, stop chasing women. Chase excellence. Become the kind of man who turns pain into wisdom, chaos into clarity, and loneliness into strength. Because once you build yourself into that kind of man, you'll realize something extraordinary. Women won't just notice you. They'll feel you, even in your silence. The law of emotional gravity is one of the most powerful yet misunderstood forces in human attraction. It's not about looks, money, or even confidence in the usual sense. It's about energy. It's about the emotional weight you carry, that quiet, grounded presence that draws others toward you without effort. Just like the Earth doesn't chase the moon but still holds it in orbit, a man who understands emotional gravity doesn't chase attention, approval, or affection. He simply is, and by being centered, he naturally pulls others, especially women, into his emotional field. Most men, without realizing it, project instability. They get anxious when they like someone, nervous when they text, restless when there's silence. That emotional turbulence communicates uncertainty. And uncertainty, in the emotional world, repels rather than attracts. Because women, by nature, are emotional receivers. They feel what you feel. They can sense when you're calm, and they can sense when you're desperate. Your emotions create an invisible atmosphere around you, and women respond not to your words, but to that atmosphere. When a man walks into a room with grounded energy, shoulders relaxed, breathing slow, eyes steady, something happens. People notice without even knowing why. He doesn't need to talk loudly or try to prove anything. His silence speaks of control. His calmness communicates power. Emotional gravity isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about mastering it. It's the ability to feel deeply without being consumed by those feelings. A man with emotional gravity can feel attraction, anger, or sadness, and yet he remains centered. His emotions serve him, not the other way around. Women instinctively test for this. They test to see if your calm is real or fragile. They'll challenge your opinions, question your motives, withdraw affection, or create emotional waves. Not out of cruelty, but to feel your strength. A woman doesn't want to lead a man emotionally. She wants to trust that his presence can steady her storms. When she feels your composure remain unshaken in the face of her chaos, she begins to relax, to open, and to trust. That's emotional gravity in motion, not through force, but through containment. It's the same reason some men become unforgettable after just one encounter. They leave an emotional imprint because their energy is rare. In a world where most men react impulsively, the one who responds with thought and patience stands out like calm water amidst crashing waves. That's the essence of emotional gravity. You don't need to impress, you need to embody peace, direction, and emotional control. But make no mistake, emotional gravity isn't built overnight. It's developed through inner discipline. It comes from confronting your fears, sitting with discomfort, and mastering the art of stillness. When you stop being controlled by external validation, your center strengthens. When your mood no longer depends on other people's reactions, you become emotionally independent. And independence, in its purest form, is irresistibly attractive. Every man must understand that emotional gravity begins with self-awareness. You can't project calmness if you don't know where your inner chaos lies. You can't appear confident if you're secretly terrified of being rejected. The more you hide your emotional wounds, the more power they have over you. But the more you face them, the more solid you become. Women sense that solidity. It feels safe, trustworthy, magnetic. They might not be able to explain why they're drawn to you, but they'll feel it. This is why shallow attraction fades quickly. A man who relies solely on charm, looks, or words will be forgotten as soon as the emotional charge wears off. But a man with emotional gravity lingers in a woman's mind. She remembers how calm she felt around him, how understood she felt without needing to explain herself. She remembers the quiet strength in his gaze, the patience in his tone, the security in his presence. That's what emotional gravity does. It anchors people emotionally to your energy. You can see this dynamic everywhere, from leaders who command respect with few words to lovers who leave lasting emotional imprints. The core is always the same. Stability attracts motion. The more stable you are internally, the more others want to be near you. Women, especially, crave this stability because it reflects something rare. A man who is emotionally mature, self-possessed, and unaffected by the chaos of life. To live with emotional gravity means you've stopped trying to control the world and started controlling yourself. It means you can walk away from arguments without resentment, stay patient when things don't go your way, and stay kind even when misunderstood. That's what makes you magnetic. Not your image, but your inner order. Women don't crave a perfect man, they crave the emotional peace that only a centered man can give. And when you learn to radiate that peace, you stop chasing connection, because connection begins to chase you. The power of presence is the invisible force that separates ordinary men from those who linger in memory long after they've left the room. It isn't about being loud, charismatic, or endlessly talkative. Presence is about depth, the kind of awareness that makes every person around you feel seen, heard, and understood. It's a rare energy in a world where everyone is distracted, rushing, and half-listening. When a man cultivates true presence, he becomes magnetic. Women notice him not because he's trying to impress, but because his attention has weight. His awareness feels like gravity. Presence begins with stillness, not the kind of stillness that is passive, but the kind that is anchored. When you're present, you aren't thinking about what to say next, how you're being perceived, or whether the conversation is going well. You're simply there, fully engaged, fully alive in that moment. You make eye contact, not as a performance, but as a reflection of inner focus. You listen not to respond, but to understand. That kind of focus creates a deep emotional resonance, especially with women. Because most people are starving for attention, they can instantly sense when someone gives it to them without agenda. A man with presence doesn't need to fill silence with words. His calmness is a statement. His pauses carry meaning. He communicates with the way he looks, the way he breathes, the way he occupies space. He doesn't fidget or rush. He doesn't break eye contact nervously. His gestures are deliberate, his tone even, his energy grounded. This communicates control, not dominance over others, but mastery over himself. That is the kind of control that draws people in. Women are highly perceptive to presence because it creates emotional contrast. In a world filled with noise and pretense, a man who is truly there feels rare, almost sacred. She can feel when your mind is elsewhere. She can sense when you're pretending to be interested. But she also knows instantly when your attention is real. Presence validates her existence without words. It tells her, "You matter right now. You have my full attention." And when she feels that, attraction becomes effortless. Because emotional connection always begins with awareness, presence is also tied to purpose. A man who lives with direction radiates focus even when silent. His actions align with intention. He moves with quiet assurance, as if he knows where he's going even when he's still. That's the kind of energy that commands respect without demanding it. It's the reason some men can walk into a room and shift the atmosphere without saying a single word. They aren't seeking permission to exist. They already belong there. Their self-assurance is unspoken, and that's precisely why it's powerful. But presence requires discipline. It's not something you fake, it's something you cultivate. You can't be present with others if you're disconnected from yourself. If your mind is constantly racing, worrying, or craving validation, you'll never project stillness, because inner chaos always leaks through. To build presence, you must learn to quiet your mind, control your breathing, and root your awareness in the moment. Meditation, reflection, and solitude become your teachers. The more you learn to sit in silence without needing distraction, the more comfortable you become in your own skin. That comfort radiates outward, and others can feel it instantly. When a man lacks presence, he feels invisible, and he is. His words don't land, his energy scatters, his conversations feel shallow. But when he gains presence, everything changes. His voice carries more resonance. His movements seem deliberate. People listen when he speaks because his energy demands attention. He doesn't overpower the room, he grounds it. And that grounding effect makes women feel safe, intrigued, and emotionally drawn toward him. Presence also has a spiritual quality. It's a kind of alignment between mind, body, and intention. When your thoughts and actions mirror each other, you project authenticity. There's no pretense, no mask. You're simply real. And that realness is what captivates people. Women don't crave perfection, they crave truth. And truth is most powerfully expressed through presence. When you're not trying to prove anything, not trying to impress, not trying to control outcomes, you allow life to unfold naturally. That natural flow is deeply attractive. In conversation, presence feels like warmth. It feels like safety. It feels like being held in attention, not possession. And the paradox is that the less you try to impress, the more impressive you become. Because true presence isn't about performance. It's about connection. It's about giving your full energy to the moment, allowing the person in front of you to experience the depth of who you are without needing to explain it. The power of presence is quiet, but it's unforgettable. When you master it, you realize that the most magnetic thing you can offer isn't what you say or how you look. It's how completely you can be where you are. In a world full of noise, presence is silence. In a world full of chaos, presence is calm. And in a world full of attention seekers, the one who gives attention stands out the most. The principle of direction is the foundation of masculine energy, the invisible compass that determines how a man moves through life and how others respond to him. Every man is either guided by direction or lost in distraction. When you lack direction, you drift, reacting to life instead of leading it. But when you live with purpose, when your actions are aligned with something meaningful, your presence becomes magnetic. People, especially women, can feel when a man knows where he's going, even if he's not there yet. His life has rhythm, his choices have clarity, and his energy has momentum. Direction gives shape to a man's being. It turns chaos into order and confusion into confidence. A man without direction is like a ship without a rudder. It moves, but it never arrives. He wakes up every day reacting to circumstances, chasing pleasure, or seeking validation because he has nothing stable to anchor himself to. His mind changes with the weather, his emotions fluctuate with external approval. Such a man becomes forgettable not because he lacks potential, but because he lacks intention. Women sense this instantly. They can tell when a man's words don't match his life, when his dreams are vague, or when his confidence is shallow. A woman may enjoy a man's charm for a while, but she'll only respect and trust a man who is becoming something. Someone who is moving with purpose, not wandering through impulse. Direction doesn't mean arrogance or control, it means clarity. It's the difference between, "I hope it works out," and "I know what I'm building." A man with direction doesn't need to brag about his goals. His consistency speaks for him. He shows up again and again because his focus is stronger than his distractions. His life starts to develop structure, and that structure radiates strength. Women find this deeply attractive because direction represents stability, and stability represents safety. It signals that this man is not ruled by chaos, but by purpose. He can lead not through force, but through example. When you live with direction, everything you do carries meaning. Your time, your habits, your words. They all align with something greater than momentary satisfaction. You stop wasting energy trying to please everyone because your mission filters what truly matters. You become less reactive, less needy, and more intentional. That kind of energy changes the way you walk, talk, and even breathe. You move differently when you're moving towards something real. People can sense that conviction in you, and it earns respect without demand. Direction also gives birth to resilience. When you know where you're going, obstacles stop being reasons to quit. They become part of the path. You endure struggle not because it's easy, but because it's meaningful. Pain feels different when it's tied to purpose. You stop looking for comfort and start looking for growth. That's the quiet power of direction. It transforms suffering into strength. A man who lives this way carries a rare aura, calm under pressure, focused under chaos. And this composure becomes irresistible. It tells others, I am not lost. I am building something. Women, whether consciously or not, are drawn to that energy. They don't necessarily need to understand your mission. They just need to feel that you have one. Because a man with direction creates emotional safety. He's not easily swayed by external temptations or emotional storms. He knows who he is and where he's going, and that certainty allows others to relax around him. She doesn't have to guide him or mother him. She can trust him. That trust forms the foundation of respect, and respect is the highest form of attraction. But direction isn't discovered, it's built. It's forged in solitude, reflection, and struggle. You don't wake up one day knowing your life's purpose. You create it through consistent action and introspection. You experiment, you fail, you learn. Every challenge clarifies your path. Every setback reveals what truly matters. Over time, your direction becomes sharper, more focused, more powerful. You stop asking for signs and start becoming one. In a world full of distractions, having direction makes you dangerous. In the best way. It means your energy isn't scattered, it's channeled. You don't chase after every opportunity or every woman because you've already chosen your mission. You're no longer desperate for attention because your attention is already claimed by something meaningful. That focus is rare, and rarity is attractive. When a man has direction, he stands out without trying to. His life moves with an invisible current that others can feel. His discipline commands respect, his clarity inspires trust. He doesn't need validation to move forward, and he doesn't slow down when misunderstood. His path gives him purpose, and his purpose gives him peace. That is the essence of masculine energy, a steady pursuit of something higher than the self. And in that steady pursuit, a man doesn't just find success, he becomes unforgettable. The mirror effect is one of the most profound, yet often overlooked dynamics in human attraction. It's the psychological truth that people don't respond to what you say, they respond to what you are. A woman doesn't just hear your words, she feels your energy. She subconsciously mirrors the emotions, confidence, and state of mind you bring into her space. If you're calm, she feels safe. If you're anxious, she feels tense. If you're centered, she opens up. Every interaction you have acts like a mirror, reflecting your internal world back to you through the reactions of others. That's why mastering your emotions isn't just a form of self-control. It's the foundation of influence. When you approach a woman from a place of insecurity, need, or fear, it doesn't matter how charming your words are. She'll feel something off. That's the mirror effect at work. You might think you're hiding your nerves, but human beings are experts at sensing emotional dissonance. Micro-expressions, tone shifts, and body language reveal your inner state faster than words ever can. But when you approach from a place of composure and quiet confidence, she mirrors that energy back. Suddenly, the conversation feels smoother, more relaxed, more connected. You haven't said anything different, You've simply changed the energy you're broadcasting. This phenomenon explains why the same man can have completely different experiences depending on his state of mind. On one day he might seem invisible. On another, women may seem inexplicably drawn to him. The difference isn't in the external world, it's in his internal world. When you feel at peace with yourself, you unconsciously give others permission to feel at peace around you. When you're full of self-doubt, you unconsciously invite others to doubt you too. The world mirrors back what you project, and women are especially attuned to this reflection because of their emotional intelligence. You can't fake the mirror effect. You can't act confident for long if you don't feel it. Pretending creates tension, and tension is felt. True confidence is quiet because it's rooted in self-acceptance. It's not about being the loudest man in the room or trying to dominate attention. It's about being completely okay with who you are, regardless of who's watching. That authenticity translates directly into attraction because it creates emotional harmony. A woman feels drawn to that energy not because you're performing, but because your inner world feels safe. The mirror effect also works in moments of conflict or emotional testing. When a woman challenges you, she's not always looking for a verbal answer. She's feeling for your emotional tone. If she becomes emotional and you react emotionally, the energy spirals downward. But if she becomes emotional and you remain calm, she unconsciously adjusts to your frequency. That's the hidden power of composure. When your energy is stable, you lead the emotional rhythm of the interaction. That's what true leadership looks like. Not control through words, but guidance through energy. Most men fail in relationships because they respond to a woman's emotion with more emotion. Frustration with frustration, insecurity with defensiveness. They think they're standing up for themselves, but in reality, they're mirroring chaos instead of anchoring calm. A man with emotional intelligence reverses that dynamic. He becomes the emotional mirror she needs, not the one she projects. When she's anxious, he becomes steady. When she's uncertain, he becomes clear. When she's angry, he becomes composed. Over time, she begins to associate him with emotional safety. That's how trust and desire grow, not through manipulation, but through resonance. The mirror effect reveals a deeper truth about masculine and feminine energy. Feminine energy flows, masculine energy contains. When a man learns to contain emotion, his own and hers, the polarity between them strengthens. She feels the depth of his stillness, the strength of his composure, the weight of his attention. It doesn't make him distant, it makes him dependable. It's not coldness, it's centeredness. And that centeredness allows her to soften, to open, to trust. To master the mirror effect, a man must learn to become aware of his own emotional frequency before he enters any interaction. You cannot change how others respond to you until you change the energy you bring into the room. If you carry frustration, you'll receive resistance. If you carry peace, you'll receive openness. That's not magic, it's psychology. People subconsciously seek emotional harmony. They lean toward what feels stable and recoil from what feels chaotic. When your presence offers stability, you become magnetic without saying a word. Every man reflects something: chaos or clarity, insecurity or self-trust, fear or faith. The world simply mirrors it back. When you understand this, you stop trying to change others and start refining yourself. You begin to realize that attraction, respect, and influence are all born from the same source, your inner state. The mirror effect teaches that women don't fall in love with your image. They fall in love with the way they feel in your presence. And when your presence reflects calm confidence, that feeling becomes unforgettable. The subtlety of mystery is one of the oldest and most powerful psychological triggers of attraction. It's not about manipulation or hiding who you are. It's about restraint, the ability to reveal yourself gradually and allow curiosity to do the work for you. In a world where everyone overshares, the man who holds something back becomes captivating. Mystery doesn't mean distance, it means depth. It means there's more to you than what can be understood in a single meeting, a single conversation, or even a single glance. It's the quiet awareness that you are not fully accessible, and that discovery is a privilege, not a guarantee. Women, by nature, are drawn to curiosity. They are emotionally intuitive and love to explore layers, not just of who a man is, but of how he makes them feel. When everything about you is exposed too quickly, when every emotion, thought, and story is spilled out immediately, there's no tension left to explore. Attraction thrives on tension, on the space between what is known and what is yet to be revealed. The mind becomes engaged when there's something to figure out, something to interpret. The moment you stop being a puzzle, you stop being exciting. The mysterious man doesn't play games, he simply doesn't rush the process of revelation. He's open, but not predictable. He listens more than he talks, he gives glimpses, not monologues. His silence is not emptiness, it's deliberate space. When he speaks, his words have weight because they're not wasted. When he smiles, it feels intentional. When he shares something personal, it feels earned. This sense of pacing creates anticipation, and anticipation is the emotional oxygen of attraction. The subtlety of mystery is also tied to self-possession. You don't become mysterious by pretending to be something you're not. You become mysterious by being at peace with the fact that people don't need to know everything about you. You don't rush to justify, explain, or impress. You let others wonder a little, think a little, imagine a little. Because when people imagine, they invest emotionally. A woman who wonders about you is already thinking about you, already creating stories in her mind about who you might be. That imagination is more powerful than any line you could ever say. Mystery also communicates confidence in a quiet way. The man who doesn't feel the need to over-explain shows that he is secure in his identity. He doesn't seek reassurance through words, his presence speaks for him. His life feels full, his attention valuable, his emotions measured. He is not easily read, not because he is closed off, but because he is layered. This makes him unforgettable, not because he's distant, but because he's intriguing. A woman's mind keeps returning to him, replaying moments, trying to understand what made her feel so drawn without fully knowing why. In conversation, mystery is created not only by what you say, but by what you choose not to say. You answer questions honestly but briefly. You redirect conversations toward ideas, values, and experiences rather than personal confessions. You allow pauses. You don't rush to fill silence with nervous chatter. Those pauses allow emotional intensity to build. They create presence. In those quiet moments, connection deepens without words. The mysterious man understands that attraction isn't built through constant availability. It's built through emotional pacing. Modern dating often kills mystery because it thrives on instant access, text, social media, constant notifications. Everything reveals too much too soon. You see where someone is, what they're doing, what they're thinking. But attraction fades when curiosity dies. The man who can step out of that constant exposure, who doesn't respond instantly, who doesn't post everything about his life stands out. He feels rare. His time feels important. His life feels purposeful. When he finally gives attention, it feels like something earned, not expected. Mystery also makes space for imagination, and imagination amplifies emotion. A woman will replay your words, your look, your silence, trying to understand what they meant. That uncertainty, when grounded in respect and authenticity, fuels attraction. It gives her something to feel, something to anticipate. The more she thinks, the more emotionally invested she becomes. And that emotional investment is what transforms attraction into desire. But mystery must come from authenticity, not pretense. It's not about acting cold or aloof. It's about maintaining inner fullness. A mysterious man has a private world, passions, goals, thoughts, and beliefs that he doesn't broadcast. He doesn't withhold to control. He withholds because he values intimacy. He knows that deep connection requires time and trust. By not offering himself too easily, he teaches others to appreciate the depth of what he does share. The subtlety of mystery is the art of allowing discovery. It's the ability to be interesting without trying to be impressive. It's the balance between openness and restraint, between being available and being selective. It's the quiet reminder that what is easily gained is rarely valued. When you live with that awareness, when you become the man whose depth must be earned, you stop chasing validation. You become the one who captivates effortlessly. Women remember you not because you were loud or visible, but because you left them with questions, emotions, and curiosity they couldn't quite explain. That's the power of mystery. It keeps you alive in the mind long after you've walked away. The discipline of authenticity is one of the rarest forms of strength in a world built on performance. Everyone wants to be seen, admired, and accepted, but few are willing to be real. Most men wear masks because they fear rejection. They imitate confidence, mimic charm, and rehearse personalities that are not truly their own. But deep down, they know it's exhausting to keep pretending. Authenticity, on the other hand, is freedom. It's the decision to live in alignment with who you truly are, even when it's uncomfortable. It's the courage to speak your truth, act with integrity, and refuse to betray your soul just to fit in. Yet authenticity isn't something that happens by accident. It's a discipline, a practice that demands awareness, honesty, and emotional courage. Being authentic doesn't mean saying whatever you feel without thinking. It means being real without being reckless. It's about knowing what you value and living by those values even when no one's watching. Authenticity isn't loud. It's solid. It's not about impressing others. It's about expressing truth. The man who lives authentically carries a quiet confidence that can't be faked. He doesn't need validation because his validation comes from within. He's not trying to be liked by everyone because he knows that respect earned through honesty lasts longer than approval gained through pretense. Women are deeply drawn to this kind of man because authenticity feels safe. It signals stability and emotional maturity. When a man is real, his energy feels grounded. There's no hidden agenda, no manipulation, no false front. She can relax around him because what she sees is what she gets. His presence doesn't shift based on who's watching or what others expect. He's consistent, and consistency creates trust. A woman might admire a charming man, but she respects the one who's genuine. Because authenticity isn't about perfection, it's about truth. And truth has its own kind of magnetism. Authenticity also means embracing your imperfections. Most people try to hide their flaws, thinking that vulnerability makes them weak. But the paradox of attraction is that real strength comes from transparency. When you own your story, the mistakes, the lessons, the scars, you become relatable, you become human. And people are drawn to humanity more than perfection. The man who can say, "Yes, I've failed, but I learned," communicates more power than the one who pretends to have never fallen. Because authenticity carries humility, and humility creates connection. The discipline of authenticity requires self-awareness. You can't be real if you don't know who you are. That's why solitude is so important. Spending time alone helps you separate your true desires from societal expectations. It helps you see where you've been living for approval instead of purpose. Every man must face that mirror at some point. The one that reflects not who he pretends to be, but who he truly is. That reflection may be uncomfortable, but it's also liberating. Because once you see the truth, you can no longer live a lie comfortably. Authenticity also demands courage in relationships. It means you're willing to express how you feel, even if it risks rejection. It means you say no when you mean no and yes when you truly mean yes. It means you stop chasing connection that requires you to shrink yourself. The man who is authentic doesn't beg to be understood. He invites understanding through honesty. He doesn't manipulate emotions to gain affection. He builds respect through truth. That level of clarity may push some people away, but it will also attract the right ones closer. Those who value sincerity over showmanship. The reason authenticity is so magnetic is because it's rare. People are tired of pretending. They crave realness, honesty, and consistency. When you show up as your true self, you give others permission to do the same. That's what creates genuine connection, not surface-level attraction, but resonance. Women especially feel that difference. They can sense when a man is performing versus when he's grounded in truth. The first feels temporary, the second feels timeless. Authenticity is also discipline, because it must be maintained even when it costs you something. Sometimes being real means walking away from people, jobs, or opportunities that don't align with your values. It means choosing integrity over image. It means being honest when lying would be easier. It means standing firm when conformity would make life smoother. That's why authentic men are so few, because they're willing to pay the price for freedom. And that freedom gives their words weight, their actions meaning, and their presence gravity. When a man fully embraces authenticity, his life changes. His relationships deepen, his communication becomes clear, and his energy becomes powerful. He no longer needs to chase validation because he lives in truth. He doesn't fear rejection because rejection no longer defines him. He's at peace with who he is, and that peace radiates. The discipline of authenticity transforms you into someone others remember not because you were flawless, but because you were as real. And in a world full of imitation, being real is the most unforgettable thing you can be. In the end, becoming unforgettable isn't about learning tricks, playing games, or trying to be someone you're not. It's about embodying the kind of man whose energy leaves an imprint long after he's gone. A man who leads with purpose, moves with presence, speaks with intention, and lives with authenticity. When you master your emotions, carry yourself with quiet confidence, and connect with others from a place of truth, you stop chasing validation and start commanding respect. Women don't crave perfection, they crave depth, the kind of depth that only comes from a man who knows who he is, what he stands for, and where he's going. So stop trying to impress and start expressing. Because when you live by these principles, you won't need to beg to be noticed. You'll be remembered, not for what you did, but for who you were.